Kevin.
Hello, Kevin.
I gotta get my camera back. So tonight's theme was it soul? S-O-U-L.
Soul, yes.
Yeah. Right then. Short, sweet, and simple.
Lovely.
Everything is magic. Soul.
So, I am ready.
Right. I shall do the countdown. Press the start button. Then it's over to you. So it's 3, 2, 1.
Hello, one and all. Hope you're doing well with all the stuff with the moon yesterday and the 3-eye atlas and all that stuff. It's been it still is actually quite intense. So what brought about this? Because I wasn't actually sure what the theme of the show was going to be tonight. And we went to an exhibition yesterday up in London called Dark Secrets. Very interesting exhibition. And I suppose how I got to the theme of soul was, we got chatting to the curator there, and I think it's always that thing when you go around an exhibition of, some of the objects that were there were, because it went all the way through from like deities and mythologies, all the way through to Aleister Crowley, to tarot, to ritual murders, all kinds of mad and crazy things. Yeah. And like I say, some of the artifacts were original. Some of them were replicas. So it's interesting when you walk around a place like that. What do you feel? Do you feel the souls of these, the things that are attached to these objects, the original, authentic objects, not necessarily the replicas, although they can hold the energy of a soul that's attached. So yeah, I kind of I landed upon soul for today's little chat. So how I'm going to approach this. So some of what I have learned around the soul is from soul realignment, which I studied back in 2017, I think it was. But I'll get more into that in a minute. So one of the questions is, what do we know? What do we know about soul? Yeah, or the soul, or however you want to describe that part of you, which is who you truly are. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk about animals, because again, it's quite fresh at the moment with our Smurf. So I'm going to talk about that a bit as well. And then I'm going to talk about, the connection we have with our soul. And maybe, if you're not sure how to do that, how you can do that, or how I've experienced that connection, if you like. So let's go. What do we know? What do we actually know about the thing that we call the soul? Yeah. Well, things that I know. So when I studied soul realignment, it was really for the purpose of trying to get to grips with stuff that I was experiencing, which I knew was not me. Yeah. I knew there were these programs running that weren't me. Yeah. So, and everything else up to that point that I tried to kind of uncover, what this really was, it didn't work. Yeah. So yeah, I studied soul realignment with an amazing lady called Andrea Hess. And one of the things, or many things actually, that I realized while I was doing that study is the soul. So you can also call it the higher self, yeah, which I describe as the part of you that's bigger and sees everything, because that is what it is, yeah. When you say soul or higher self, it doesn't really tell you much about it, yeah. But the part of you that's bigger and sees everything does. So I like to use words that actually describe what the thing is, yeah, whatever it is. So when I was training, there were many things that kind of came out of that, which I've actually expanded on since I did that training, because that was 8 years ago now. Wow. It doesn't even seem possible. So one of the things was, and this was, I was getting more insights after I'd done the training, after I'd done my own clearing work, yeah. And this is Akashic record stuff, but again, I'll get more into that in a bit. So once I'd done that clearing work, it was really strange because overnight things changed. It was really, really interesting how that works. So the idea before your soul incarnates, and this kind of goes back to the Enlightenment, that book that I read out in 2 parts, yeah. So before your soul chooses to get into a physical body, yeah, it can see all possibilities, yeah, all paths, yeah. And it will choose the path, you could say, of least resistance, but according to how much negative karmic stuff you have attached to that soul. So some negative karmic stuff dissipates when a person passes over. Other stuff stays, which is really interesting. So what I found really interesting is when I'd done the clearing work, I was getting more insights which were nothing to do with the course. So the idea that your soul sees every possibility was something that, yeah, just kind of came to me. Very, it was a visual thing that I saw that. Yeah, I saw the soul can see all possibilities. I mean, we couldn't even fathom what that looks like, could we, really? But clearly the soul has this ability to be able to look at all that. And I suppose it's a bit like a Time Lord, really. So are we Time Lords? Because when you listen to what any of those incarnations say, it's like they feel everything all at once. So that's clearly, yeah, what the soul sees. It sees everything all at once, and it will choose the path, the best path that it can choose, determined by, you could say, wonky goggles. Yeah. So if your goggles are very wonky because of all the negative karmic stuff that's blocking your view, you're going to have a very small aperture in which to look through to see the best path. Does that make sense? Whereas if you've, over lifetimes, if you've done more work, that sounds really boring, doesn't it? If you've made better choices which are in alignment with who you truly are, then that scope, that vision is wider. Yeah, you get a wider broadband of frequencies to choose from. Ha ha. Go plop. Just another plop there. So what does that mean? What does that even mean? Well, what it means is, I suppose, from all the readings I've done for people, is sometimes when I go into someone's Akashic record, because that's where everything is stored, every experience is stored in the Akashic records. Yeah, so I can go back to a point. I can look through someone's Akashic records, see where those negative karmic patterns are, and go back to the source of that. What is it that triggered? And so, yeah, sometimes it's different lifetimes. Sometimes it's it can be all manner of things that can trigger these negative karmic patterns that stick. Yeah, but they only stick when it's like mud. You know, you get a little bit of mud on your shoe, it doesn't really bother you, but sometimes that mud just it like compounds itself on top of each other. Yeah, on top of itself, each other. I don't know. Anyway, so think of it like that. Yeah. So as you're going along and you're kind of stuck in a loop of making those same choices, that kind of negative karmic stuff starts to impact how your soul then operates. And how do I know this? Because the amount of times that I've said something to someone in a reading and they've gone, how did you know that? You know, things that no one knew. Yeah. It's like, well, it's right here. It's right in front of me. It's in the records. So I find that quite interesting. And yeah, it blows my mind that, you know, that it can be that accurate. It's just phenomenal. So other things. So that's how I know that the soul can see everything, and it makes those choices determined by how much negative karmic baggage you are carrying. Yeah, because it's heavy, isn't it? It's heavy. What I will say is, if you can connect with who you truly are, your soul being, your light being, whatever you want to call it, and I'll talk about connection at the end. But if you can start doing that now, then, and make those choices determined by that alignment, that realignment, yeah, then those negative karmic things will actually fall away. Yeah. Because when we begin to make better choices that are in alignment, that's very powerful. I promise you. So other things that I kind of realized through this work was, and I kind of knew this years ago, because people used to say things like, they would say things that would limit their way of seeing the world. Yeah. And my comment was always, well, I'm multifaceted. And I never quite knew why I was saying that, what it meant. But what I now know is the soul is multifaceted. Not literally cut like a diamond, but it has many, many facets. Yeah. Why? Why does it have many facets? Because it's a fractal. It's a fractal of everything that is bigger than the part of you that's bigger and sees everything. Yeah. So think of it like a hologram. So a hologram is the whole picture, but in a small form. Yeah. If you blow it up, so to speak, not bang, but as in expand, then it retains that wholeness as it expands. Yeah. That's, for me, is part of what the soul is a fractal. And what that means is that everyone's soul has basically a basic blueprint, if you like. Yeah. And in that blueprint, so think of it like, okay, example. So every soul, for example, has more pronounced energy centers through which you are creative. Yeah, that determines how you create. Yeah, so for example, some people enjoy building things. Some people find that connecting with other people is how they are creative. Other people are very up in the ethers, if you like. There are so many different ways that you can be creative in terms of these energy centers. And although you might have two people that have the same prominent energy center, but other things will determine how they are creative, like where your soul went to when it was first realized. Yeah. So in soul realignment, we call that soul group of origination. So that's not where you come from. It's where you go to first. Where are you drawn to first? Where do you spend, that first bit of time when you come out of the void? Yeah. So that also colors how you are creative. And there are many other things as well that color that, where you are on your journey, for example. And what you find, so although we are multifaceted, there are traits that are more pronounced than others. So because we all come from the void, which is everything, all possibilities, the quantum space, yeah, we all basically have the same blueprint, but out of that, again, like a fractal version of the void, some traits are more pronounced because that's how your fractal of the soul wants to be creative. Yeah. So for example, I'm here and I'm talking like this, getting on this path. Oh my goodness, was very I took a very long way around to do it. And it took me years. And you've only got to look back on the Everything is Magic YouTube channel to see the first ever video I put up. Oh my goodness. I haven't taken it down, even though it makes me cringe. Because that shyness that I had as a child, boom, was right back in my face again. So I took a very long way round to get here. But I know, because of my soul blueprint, that using my voice is one of the ways, actually no, one of the main ways that I enjoy being creative. So it's not, I'm going to be creative because I want to make loads of money. No. And if you've ever tried that with that intention, chances are, if your soul is not aligned to that particular way of doing it, it's not going to work. And one of the things that after myself and Ian have done this kind of all this Akashic record clearing, is, one of the questions that we used to ask ourselves, because we've done so many marketing courses in the past, we've tried so many different ways to get a business going and all that stuff, and it's never ever, it kind of take off and like tick along, but we certainly couldn't make a living from it, which I find really interesting. And one of the things that we would ask ourselves is, would we be doing this if we didn't need the money? And if the answer is no, then that's not what your soul wants to be doing. Do you love what you're doing? I know that's a really easy thing to kind of question, and not maybe quite so easy to implement. But I think when it comes to how the soul wants to create, your immediate reality, I would say. And then that has a ripple effect outwards. That's kind of what we're seeing right now. Definitely. Finally beginning to see something going on out there. Fucking hell. Excuse my French. Where you get to is, I don't know, from my experience, when I've tried to pursue a path that is completely misaligned, it actually makes me physically ill. And it messes with my head something chronic. It's like everything grinds to a halt. Yeah. That's how I've experienced that anyway, which is really, really interesting. Yeah. So, what else do we know about the soul? Yeah. I know, and I've experienced different ways that I know that there is something else. Yeah. That is not just this physical reality, and that is the end of that. Yeah. And I know I've talked about this before, but you can never say it too much. Meditation. If you get into a space in meditation where everything falls away, there is something behind that everything that comes up, but it doesn't at the same time. It's I don't even know how to describe the feeling when that happens. But the way I try to describe it, it's like blancmange and jelly, just kind of, essentially what's happening there is you're floating in the void. You're in the void, which is pretty damn amazing. And it's the same feeling as when you are in a creative flow. Yeah. So an example, which is really interesting, from Tuesday, I was feeling quite, because I haven't been sleeping that well, and I was feeling quite tired, and I had the tarot, because I don't know, that's another creative outlet. There we go. That's what it is. I'm stumbling over my words, and that's what it is. So I was feeling really tired. I didn't know if I wanted to do it, but then I got here, and the energy started to build. So that's one way when you are in that connection, because divine source energy starts to flow, without question. And the whole session is a blur, because I was in that flow. And I was in that flow so much that half an hour later, I'm recording a video for my YouTube channel. It's like, there was no stopping that. No stopping that flow of energy. And I think that's that, when you're in that creative space, that's what happens. Everything else falls away, and you're in the void. And that's how energy works. That's how everything works. But energy is, or the element of water, which has the same qualities as the energy that we talk about. When it's just flowing, it's going in and out, and there's no stopping, there's no break, there's no rocks in the way of the water, there's no waterfalls, it's just a constant flow. So that's the other thing that we know. If you've ever been in that creative space, you know what that feels like. And it's like everything else falls away, and you're just absolutely focused. And you look around and it's like, oh, where's that 3 hours gone? It's quite amazing. So that's how we know. That's what we know, about how the soul operates, yeah, how the soul operates, and what we know about, you know, what that feels like. Yeah. So yeah, the Akashic records, that was the next thing I wanted to talk about. So when every time you make a choice, so that's a choice, not a decision. Decision comes before choice. You decide, right, I'm going to do that, and then you make the choice to do it. There's a difference. Yeah. So when you make every choice you make, it gets recorded. And no, this isn't mass surveillance. This is the Akashic records. So I suppose you can say it's etheric etheric mass surveillance. I like that. That's quite funny, actually. Let me just clean my glasses. They're all weird dots before my eyes. So yeah, the Akashic records. So what I find really interesting is when you do the clearing work. So it's twofold. It's in the Akashic records, and it's in your choices, and it's in the clearing using words, spells, intention, yeah, all those magical things, yeah, which then line up your physical 3D reality with the Akashic records. Yeah, it kind of brings them together and creates a superhighway. There you go. So then when you begin to make more aligned choices, so I'm choosing my words carefully here, more aligned choices, yeah, to the soul that you are, yeah, it really does. Well, I'm sitting here now, for example, yeah, waffling on, you know, live on a YouTube channel, live on a radio show. I could not have done that. All those years ago, I could not have done that. And I have had a whole load of work that I'd done previously to that first ever video I put up on YouTube. You know, I've been on stage in front of, you know, hundreds of people. You know, I sang in public, all those things that I couldn't do before. Yeah. It's like that they were a foundation, you know, my soul had a foundation that was better than before that, but at the same time, you know, it's like this was a new challenge. Putting my face out on YouTube with my voice was a new challenge back then. So, but there were choices that I was making that were in alignment with how my soul wants to express itself uniquely. So you might say, yeah, but there's like, I don't know, probably millions of people on YouTube doing videos, you know, well, that's fine. But no one else is doing it like me because I am me. And I don't use AI crap either. So that's something I want to say. I will never be using AI. End of story. Yeah. Because my soul loves being creative. Why would you use AI to make your videos for YouTube if you love being creative? I don't know. It's just, I don't understand that. But then that's me. So yeah, choices. It's all recorded in the Akashic records. Makes you think, doesn't it? So what someone can do is they can go in and they can look at those records. You know, whether it's pinpointing where something changed and your soul started making very misaligned choices, or, you know, if you're trying to find out, you know, if you have leaks of energy out of the web that surrounds your energetic being, for want of a better word, you know, that's all in there. It's all in there. And it is quite fascinating. But it's all your choices, which, yeah, is pretty amazing. Okay, so animals. Let's get on to animals and soul. Okay, so there used to be, and I think some people still think this way, the idea that animals do not have soul. And what I'm going to say next might be slightly controversial. So if you don't like controversy, cover your ears. Yeah. I reckon that the reason that it's convenient to say that animals don't have souls is because I'd probably say the majority of the planet eats meat. So it would kind of make sense to me that in order to do that without conscience, yeah, you're going to say the animal has no soul. Okay? So if you've ever been close to an animal, either as a pet or, I don't know, maybe you walk down the lane and there's a cow that you see every morning that sticks its head over the fence and says, "Hi, I love you." Who knows? It can be any animal, yeah? Doesn't have to be a cat or a dog. Any animal. There's a little squirrel, yeah, that lives on our green. Boy, that squirrel makes me laugh. He's got a right little personality, or she. I don't know what what he is, but it's a squirrel, yeah. It's very funny. And has that squirrel got a soul? I say yes. So why would I say that all animals, and I'd say all animals, yeah, all animals have a soul? Well, from very recent personal experience, because if you have a cat or a dog, you would, I don't know, most people would say, yeah, my pet's got a soul. Although there are people who, for example, once upon a time, someone said to me, "Oh, I don't like small dogs because I feel like they're soulless." It's like, that's just a weird thing to say. Very weird. Anyway, so why do I say that all animals, and I would even go as far as to say, oh, maybe that's a thing for another time. I was going to talk about trees then, but that's for another time. Yeah. So all animals have soul. So when a human passes, the soul leaves the shell, the body. Yeah. Same with an animal. When they pass, they are not there anymore. They are not. What is left is not them. Yeah. We know that. We know that with humans. So how can that not extend to animals? We're all on this planet. Does the planet have a soul? I'd say yes. It's a living, breathing being. Yeah. It's a living, breathing. We're all on this planet living, breathing beings. I would even say that, and this is something we explored back in 2012 when we created this amazing yoga workshop called Yoga of Planets, and it was connecting with the energy of each of the planets, including Pluto, even though some people don't class it as a planet. The idea being that you connect with it through vibration, sound, and frequency, and with a yoga. Quite amazing, very powerful. But what it did is it opened my mind back then to this idea that the planets are also living, breathing beings. Yeah. So if something is a living, breathing being, it has to have a soul. Oh, cup of tea. Thank you. It has to. In my book, let me just sort my coaster out. There we go. It has to, doesn't it? Because if there is no soul in that physical shell, there is no life, surely. That's the question. I don't quite know how that fits in with NPCs, but then if they work the same as video games, then they are like, they're remnants of something. They're not a being that makes conscious choices. They're more automatons or remnants, possibly. I don't know. Maybe that's another conversation for another time. So, yeah, I mean, animals have soul, I would say, definitely. And their blueprint, because they have a soul blueprint. For example, dogs. You're going to laugh at this. Dogs. I don't know if it's different for different dogs or if dogs, the breed, canine, are all from Sirius Dog Star. So as humans, we can come from Sirius as well. You know, our soul word, the origin of our soul, or where we went to first. We can come from Sirius as well if we like, or go to Sirius, I should say, really. Cats, I would say Lyra. Other animals, I don't know, because I've never really looked into it. Maybe there's something, a little project for myself to kind of map this a little bit. But each animal will have a blueprint. And that blueprint would definitely have an origination or a first go-to point, of where they went to first when that soul was realized. So for dogs, like I say, Sirius, the dog star. I think cats would be Lyra, but that's just a guess. It's not a guess. It's an intuitive guess, I suppose. But their blueprint works much the same as ours. And I've been listening to a couple of ladies who are animal intuitives. So they speak to animals, living and past. And it makes sense to me that, like us, an animal will choose to incarnate here. They will, choose the path before they incarnate, and then that will play out. That doesn't negate free will, by the way, because that's how we get stuck in loops. Yeah. I think animals can get stuck in those as well, but not as much because they are much more connected to this planet than we are. Yeah, for the most part. Blueprint. So yeah, it makes sense to me that their blueprint will work much like ours do. So they will have a plan. And that includes, how they want to leave when it's their time, when they have chosen their time to leave, the choice of how they do that. So that makes sense to me. It makes absolute sense to me. Yeah. So it works much like our soul blueprint, which I find really interesting. And I suppose it's a kind of Buddhist, really, kind of Buddhist idea that I don't know, because I had a choice quite a few years back, actually, about 20 years ago. Was I going to go, down the witchcraft path or the Buddhist path. And it's really weird. I kept asking people, and everyone said, well, man, you're a witch. I'm like, I wasn't even out the broom cupboard yet. And everyone said, no, man, what are you talking about? You're a witch. Okay. Which is really funny. Because I used to think, why am I saying that? Oh, wow. I hadn't listened to that, Jackie. Fantastic. I'll go and have a listen to that. That's amazing. Thank you for joining. So, through my yoga practice and reading the things that I read, there was this idea that, everything is one thing, all that kind of stuff. But putting it into practice for me was like, it felt like a big thing, massive, great big thing that I couldn't get my head around, Well, what's really interesting and something that Murphy has certainly taught me, but it's like quite often I would say to someone, see that ant over there? I can see Murphy's face in that ant. He's Murphy. I can literally see Murphy's face in an ant or a squirrel or a dragonfly. It's really interesting. And now I know what that was. What he was teaching us is this, is this idea that through his absolute joy and love of life, he was teaching me that idea that everything is one thing. Everything is Murphy. Which was clearly in his soul blueprint to come here, do that. And when he felt like it was his work was done, or done to the point for this moment, then that was his time. So I can absolutely understand. That's how I understand, that animals have souls. Yeah. Dare I say it, mosquitoes? Well, they're alive, aren't they? Or are they remnants? I don't know. This is maybe something that I need to go in and I need to investigate this, because I find this quite interesting. In comparison to, soul blueprints of a human compared to soul blueprints of animals and trees, plants, all that stuff. Yeah. So 15 minutes. So I'm going to do a little bit on how to connect, and then I'm going to open it up. Yeah. So if anyone wants to comment on my ramblings, you can. So how do we connect with the part of us that's bigger and sees everything? One of the ways I found really helpful is just getting really, really still. So wherever you are, I have been a bit fidgety actually in my chair tonight. Wherever you are, wherever you're sitting, try and get really, really still in your body. Yeah. Because if you can get still in your body, that tends to calm the mind, and then your breath begins to slow down, and then the body relaxes more, the mind relaxes, the breath relaxes, and you get into that really nice cycle of everything feels just very, yeah. When you do that, the voice of your soul will come up. Now, how it comes up will be completely determined by what projection is coming out of your soul blueprint. So for me, I hear, I'm definitely getting into this idea that senses are amplified at the moment. I don't know if you guys are experiencing that, but certainly how it feels. Yeah. So we can learn how to hear the voice of the soul, yeah, which if you think of your, so why do we have an aura? Yeah. What is an aura? Is that, or is that not your soul? And it's like we're the little being, the physical being, kind of suspended in this aura, which is your soul, is it not? If our being works on different levels, different layers, from the dense physical to the kind of etheric, you could say invisible, yeah. How does the soul fit inside a very small, dense body? Well, it doesn't. It's actually bigger, and we are the thing that's in the middle, not the soul. And again, you can feel that if you know, when you're in that creative process. Do you feel your body? No. The body disappears. You become, or you align with, or you are completely in your being, your soul, the part of you that's bigger and sees everything. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, meditation, you can get in contact. Being really still, you can be in contact. Yeah. And that's a discipline in itself. Being really still, wherever you're sitting, or standing, or laying down. That ability to completely relax everything, just relax. And you can use a breath pattern to do that if you need to. 4-4-8 is really good. You know, wherever you are. And again, animals teach us that. You know, I used to look at Murphy sometimes and he'd be lying in the most weird position, but he was completely like relaxed. I used to think, well, if you can do that, I can do that. You know, and your body might be going, oh, but I can't do it. Oh, yeah. But if you just relax, you relax that part of your body that is resisting, because that's all it is, resistance. And there are different ways you can do that. You can use visualization, breath, all kinds of ways you can actually instruct, because you're in charge, instruct the body to relax. And once it does, you reach that stillness, which is where you can hear the soul voice come in. Yeah. But again, creativity does that. Walking does that. So when you're out for a walk, play with how you walk. Yeah. You know, where your body is, how it's moving, and try and find a really relaxed stance for walking, for want of a better word. Yeah. And you will find, what you will find is there then begins to be a flow. And what's really interesting when you do that, it's actually really easy to, there's a natural grounding that happens when you're in flow, when you're walking. Yeah. And I'm talking about marching. I'm talking about I don't even know how to describe it. It's really hard to describe the feeling, but it's just being. It's observing. There we go. Observing your body as it's moving. Yeah. Which sounds really weird, but it's not. So yeah, there are so many different ways to connect, and it will very much depend again on your soul blueprint, how it wants to create, and how it wants to kind of connect in that way to your being. But meditation is always good. Guided meditations especially. Yeah. So I'm going to open it up now because I've waffled on. If anyone wants to comment or share, their experiences of soul.
Wow, thank you. Just on the mosquito thing.
Yeah.
I actually save mosquitoes. If I'm sleeping, I mean, there's a limit to it, obviously, but if I'm sleeping in England and I hear a mosquito, I'm just going to sleep, and I hear it.
Yeah.
I'll turn on the light and it will just sit on the wall. So then I'll put it in a plastic Tupperware, put a bit of card on it, and take it into another part of the house and let it out the window. Because, I think, has it not got as much right to live as me in a way?
Yeah.
What makes me think? What, because I'm bigger?
Yeah.
Because I could use a Tupperware bowl? So why am I so much more advanced than
a mosquito?
Ants, when ants have got compost heaps and graveyards and everything, and no cat is ever going to pay tax or go to the shop despite however much biscuits you offer it. Is that you won't be bribed, won't be cajoled. So, people think, and a cat's got a brain the size of a grape, right? So,
wow.
I mean, I've never met two cats that are the same. I mean, they are. Certainly, cats are sentient beings. I mean, they're
absolutely.
so zen, aren't they?
Yeah,
I mean, they
absolutely.
watch. Isn't it said that dogs have owners, cats have staff?
Yeah, I like that. Absolutely.
And laughter is the best medicine.
Oh yes,
laughing.
Yes, laughing is good.
Yeah, anyone else?
Yeah, it's all gone quiet.
So, what is a soul? This was. I think different people have different interpretations or perceptions of what the soul is. Is the soul that voice that's inside my head that only exists there, and the external voice that interacts like we are now? That isn't part of my soul.
I would say if you are aligned with the part of you that's bigger and sees everything, then the majority of what you speak is your soul speaking. It's when we parrot things that we've learned or that other people are saying, and you only got to look at 2020 for confirmation of that. Yeah, how many people were parroting? That wasn't the soul talking. That was a program voice. Yeah. So you've got a program voice, which we kind of, I don't know, is it ever possible to get rid of that? I don't know. I think we were talking, someone was talking the other day about the difference between, we're all programmed, but some of us are aware that we're programmed so we can make different choices or we can make more informed choices, while other people, they don't even know they're programmed. So, is there any hope for those ones? I don't know. So I'd say and that's the thing. The voice of the soul is never going to shout. Yeah, it's never going to try and win the race. It's never going to try and be better than someone else. It's just expressing how it is. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And it's the one I've never called it the soul. It's my inner being, my inner connection. And this biological suit that I wear, which comes with its own interactive sensory gadgets.
Lots of levers and buttons.
That's what I use. The voice that you're hearing me now is not the voice inside my head. Because it's two separate things. But I'm utilizing these tools to articulate what I want, and I'm limited by the things that I've got, and that's what makes us individuals, and that's what makes us each with our own quirks and our own ways of doing things. But the inner voice is always there. That never goes away. Even when we sleep, that inner voice is still there. So that's what I perceive to be the soul, or the perception of what a soul is. And if we have an inner voice like that, then yes, yes, the mosquito has an inner voice. Yes, the squirrel has an inner voice, because they're just wrapped up in their meat suit, their interactive suit for this world. But the inner voice is still there.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that, or maybe a slightly different interpretation, maybe connection with source or connection with God or whatever you want to call it. The inanimate, dead things don't have, do they? I mean, does a chair have a soul? Does a shoe have a soul?
But at one time, that chair would have been a tree. So, is there a remnant of the soul in the chair from the tree?
Quite possibly. Yeah. It's a fascinating subject, isn't it?
Yep.
And we're probably just guessing, really. Let's face it. Educated or otherwise.
Yeah.
Well,
Andy, can I ask a question to Andy? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You were saying about your kind of the inner voice, which is your soul, and the outer voice that you kind of speak with.
Yeah.
You've just set up a whole kind of thought connection process for me, because I'm thinking, because I live on my own, right? I sometimes talk to myself.
Yes, I do.
And it's like, so is it? Yeah, good to hear that. Is it that? Do you ever think it's your soul that's speaking to you, or do you only ever hear your soul inside your head?
I only ever hear my soul voice inside my head.
Okay.
But when I'm talking to myself, like if I'm in the kitchen and I drop the knife or something, and I say, "Oh, you idiot," you fumbled the knife, you've dropped it, or whatever it is, time to put some more water in the kettle, and let's top the kettle up a little bit, and I'll say it out loud. I don't know whether that's because there's no need for me to say it out loud, because there's nobody there to listen or to speak to or to hear it, other than my inner voice, that inner place, is not saying, "Oh, well done, you've filled the kettle." It's just letting me get on with it. It's just letting me external mechanisms just do the things it knows it needs to be doing. Fill the kettle, wash the plates, feed the cat, feed the dog, and and I'll speak to the dog, and I know that the dog can't understand what I'm saying, or the cat can't understand what I'm saying, but they know if I get up and start doing certain things and they see my actions, that they'll know, oh, it's feeding time, or to mice will know, oh, it's time to go for a walk,
Well, they've actually got telepathy. Dogs, I mean, certainly dogs and cats and humans as well. I mean, I've had some telepathic experiences over great distances. I mean, I had a friend in Australia who I seem to have a telepathic link. She did have the same birthday as me, so maybe that helped. But just going back to the inner voice thing, it's like the inner voice does make mistakes, though, doesn't it? Whereas I remember I was cycling along, feeling a bit too proud one day. And I literally got thrown off my bike.
Wow.
No reason for it, really. And I was luckily I grabbed the bike out of the road. I was sitting at the side of the road, and I said, "Why? What have I done?" And immediately came back an answer. I don't know if it was from me, or I don't know where it came from exactly. But immediately I got an answer back: pride comes before a fall. And I was wandering around a bit, dazed and confused and slightly concussed. But it taught me such a valuable lesson, because if I'd have continued down that path of feeling too proud and more, then the fall could have been even bigger, couldn't it? You see?
Wow. I mean, that opens up a whole nother kind of conversation, which is what really is pride. But I think that's not for today's chat. But yeah.
I think all that is like being a bit cocky, isn't it? And I don't know. I think maybe it was something actually more like if you hadn't have come off your bike then. So this isn't necessarily, pride or pride comes for a fall. But if you'd gone down that road another 200 yards, there might have been something worse waiting. That's how I would see that.
Yeah, it works in both ways, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it was the immediate response. It's the fact that I asked the question. So I'm saying this for fun, right? God, why have you forsaken me? So it's like I asked that question. What have I done? Why is this? Why have you done this to me or whatever, right? And I got back immediately. It wasn't, but it was in word form. It wasn't sort of, it didn't hear anything as such, but it was definitely in word form. Immediately, pride comes before fall. And you're right. Maybe there was an accident further down the road waiting to happen, or further down the road metaphorically, if I'd have kept on that path, as it were.
Yeah. Interesting.
And the other thing as well that just popped into my head there is there is the major difference between the voice that's in your head, or your soul voice, or your universal connection voice. It doesn't have any ailments. It doesn't have an accent. It doesn't have. I have a front tooth that's missing, so every now and again I'll have a bit of a lisp when I'm talking. I don't put my teeth in. But the voice inside my head, even though I've got that tooth missing, which gives me a lisp sometimes, doesn't have a lisp.
That's interesting, isn't it? That's really interesting. Which says that's completely separate from, anything else.
Yeah. And interestingly, as I came on accidentally the other day to hear Marva, fabulous show if you haven't heard it yet, and sort of accidentally, synchronistically, whatever you want to call it. I mean, the synchronicities, if you're aware of them and accept them, are just off the scale. Something bad can happen, and if you overreact to the bad thing, and it's like then you're going to miss the potential opportunities. I've had that so many times where I've just sort of held my nerve, taken a few deep breaths, thought, what is the lesson to learn here? Who was I supposed to meet? And amazing the things that I've got out of that, remaining present rather than getting upset about the bad thing that happened,
Yes, it's that observer, isn't it? Which, some people could see as disconnected, but I think it makes you more connected when you're observing everything. It makes you connected to everything, which is what I was saying about seeing Murphy's face in everything. In every animal, Murphy's face is there. Now, if I was reacting to the spider or to the ant, I wouldn't see Murphy's face in it. So, yeah.
Maybe the soul is the observer then.
Oh, yeah.
Permaculture as well. You spend a lot of time observing. In fact, if you get a new piece of land, you should observe it for a year before even touching it. So, yeah.
Cool. Any more comments or shares that you fancy sharing, so to speak? Does anyone have anything else to say? That's probably the better way to put it.
Out of curiosity, does everybody else have an inner voice that they're aware of, or that inner verbal soul connection?
Yes.
That's separate to their external ventriloquist suit that we interact with.
Yeah, I like that. That's very cool. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. And as Angie said, I think the closer we get to being connected with our soul, the closer the two voices are. I do my best to speak from my soul.
Mm.
You know, obviously I'm not perfect, but yeah, it does sort of. And a lot of people don't like it because I'm telling them the truth. You know, they don't want to hear the truth, even if I'm not being even offensive with it. I'm like, what did I say? I'm just telling you the truth.
Oh, what's that? It's beeping.
Sorry.
It's my iron. Sorry.
I thought that was like, the vehicle is reversing.
I looked out the window to see what was
Oh, goodness. That's funny. That's funny.
That's not magic. It's just an iron.
Although every there's you know, all signs are valid, so you know it was highlighting something there.
They're telling me to stop listening and staring into space, and actually iron. That's what it's telling me.
Excuse me, say. I love your laughter. It's amazing, Angie. Really good. Love that.
Yeah, I yeah, laughing is, well, one of my sayings is, you know, if you can't laugh, then, well, you might as well not be here, really, because it is, you know, this is a farce out there.
It is called entertainment.
That's entertainment now. Yeah.
And sometimes the entertainment can be a tad boring. Sometimes it can be a shit show. Sometimes it can be a rocket ride. Sometimes it can be a roller coaster ride. Sometimes it can be a teacup ride. But it's all entertainment at the end of the day. And don't take it too seriously.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it can be a horror show, Andy.
It can be, yeah. Speaking of which, I can remember distinctly going to see the Rocky Horror Picture Show when I was about 14.
Cool.
Walking out because I didn't have a clue what was going on and I didn't see any horror. And it wasn't until about 5 years later when I re-watched it with a group of friends at college and got a completely new perspective on it.
You've never been to a live show then, Andy? Have you ever been to see it at the theatre?
No, I haven't. Not at the theatre. At the cinema I have, which is almost as good. But you don't get the general dressing up and everything else, but you do get the interactions of the crowd, which I think is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure. I mean, on that note, what you said there, 13, about sometimes it's a horror show. That depends on perspective, though, doesn't it?
Yeah,
because
I agree.
What's a horror show for you may be a comedy for me, and vice versa. It's sort of very much on perspective, isn't it? Because
I think you're right, Robert. I think it's just because everything else was being said and nobody mentioned horror, and like sometimes it's bloody horror. Well, you know, even if it's horror to me, it's horror. But yeah, it is a perspective. Right.
I was kind of using shit show as a umbrella term to encompass horror as well.
Yeah.
But sometimes that can be funny. I mean, and as our perspective develops or changes, what might have disturbed us or upset us or become a horror show before may now be a comedy today. I mean, I've definitely experienced that so many times.
Yeah, you're right.
Which brings us back to the soul is observing. The more you get into the energy of the soul is observing, the more you can laugh at these things.
Exactly. Yes.
Because, you know, the part of you that's bigger and sees everything knows the big picture. It knows it. It doesn't need to, you know, go down those rabbit holes. Because once you know that it's all a shit show, that's pretty much it. That's all you need to know, really.
It's the most famous bumper sticker in the world, isn't it? Shit happens.
Yep.
I think there's a communication that's going on at a level we're not really aware of, most people. But I know it's happening. So when I'm communicating with people, even if they're pretending to take it very seriously, and I'm pretending to take it very seriously. I'm really not taking it seriously.
Right.
And therefore, at some point, they realise I'm not taking it seriously, and then they lighten up. Because if I'm not taking it seriously, what's the point of them taking it seriously?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense, does it? So.
Absolutely. Okay.
A few final words of wisdom, and I'll wrap up the recording, Andrew.
Final words of wisdom. I suppose, yeah, do what you love. You know, don't do it for money. Do it for. It's like what you shared this morning, Andy, about Freddie Mercury. What he said: we don't do it for the money. We do it for the music.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was amazing. Yeah. Sorry, cutting across you. I just wanted to share that. Stop the recording.
Yeah, Wendy shared it.
So many people, and everyone's going, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, it was
Wendy
very cool.
And normally, when Wendy posts something, it's very doom and gloomy. So, but I always check. I don't assume that she's doom and gloom another post. So I clicked on it, and I was literally. I mean, it must have been about 6:30 this morning. I just got up. I've made my brews. I sat down. Started going through all my bits and bobs, looked onto the channel and pressed play, and I must have listened back to it like 8, 9, 10 times.
Wow.
And I was going to post an Alan Watts quote video this morning, which I'd spotted yesterday, and I was going to download that off YouTube and post that up. But when Wendy put that up, and it was on Substack, I thought, I've got to go see if I can find that. Anyway, I went and found it. I downloaded it and posted it up, and I was just like, yeah, that's today's thought for today.
Yeah. Love it. Very cool.
The production that went into it, though, I was watching it, and I was just thinking that they've spent time organising it, producing it, editing it.
Yeah.
But the thing that I always love about stuff like that is the crowd reactions.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're reacting to the specific point of whatever is happening in the video at that point is always a little bit of a question mark. But on the whole, it's like, wow, yeah, the people are seeing it, they're spotting it, and they put them in the clip, in the edit and everything. Yeah, no, it was absolutely brilliant. And when the guy started singing, when he was on that carriage, and I thought, flipping it, he does sound like Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, it was very good. The French know how to do stuff, though, don't they?
They do. Oh, look, there's Kevin.
All right, Kevin. Surprise!
See the iris within the right eye. Check her out. Halo, eye shade, and then finito, completo. There you go. I don't even need these, but I don't know why I'm wearing them. Cool. Well, maybe you made a glass metal glasses. I'm gonna get John Lennon's glasses. So.
Oh, we've got more fireworks going up tonight. Oh, that was another thing when we were talking just then in the shop. It's like some people they'll post on social media about fireworks going off for bonfire night, and they're like, oh, it's when you're upsetting the dog, etc., etc., etc. And then other people are all, oh, look at that.
Yes, snowstorm.
Do you know, we didn't have many normally we have a fog on the, on the 6th, we wake up to fog. We didn't wake up to fog this morning because there were very little fireworks last night, which was really, really strange.
Well, there was a shitload around here. I can see the posts tomorrow. All the dog owners complaining, and they do it every year, and they know it's coming every year, but they still complain every year. I find that's to me, and it's That's a bit of entertainment at the end of the day.
They're awkward.
It's like, here we go. Because no amount of pontificating on a social media post about fireworks going on is going to stop the fireworks. It's still going to happen.
Sorry. We've done that by chance. Couple teenagers.
Yeah, I think he's itching to get out. Right, guys, do you want to carry on chatting away? We've got Neptune on at 8:30, but we've got another hour or so to go.
I'm going to go because we're currently watching Deep Space Nine. Yeah.
How did you get on with that?
I can tell you about this movie. It's called This Movie Will Change Your Perception of Reality. Most quoted movie. Is it 6 or 7? It's 6 words. Yeah, this movie. None of that. Check her out.
All right.
And then like all of us, but we don't need it. But it's very enjoyable.
It's always worth checking.
Absolutely.
Could you put the name of that movie in the chat or
Okay, yeah.
Get your pen, Saul, and it's called this movie will change your perception of reality. There you go.
Yes, the name of the movie is This Movie Will Change Your Perception of Reality.
Oh, it is. This is okay. I got it right the first time. Okay,
Is that what it's called?
I'm writing.
Yeah, I've still not got the title of the movie correct, have I? I'm not sure.
Movie.
I thought it was This Movie Will Change Your Perception of Reality, but I could be wrong.
That's what I'm getting that as well.
Yeah.
Is that right, Kevin?
Nope, it's gone.
Oh, is it gone?
I don't
I
know.
brought it in anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't downloaded that app yet because we've had a few busy days. So,
All right.
yeah, as soon as I get because I like to not rush these things with technology.
Right. Let me know. I was just wondering whether
Yes.
I faded up or not.
But I am going to do that because I definitely want Orville 3.
Yeah. It's got Alien Earth on it as well, so if you search for Alien Earth, that'll come up too.
Okay. I shall do
Is
that.
this a new app to find movies, is it?
Yeah, movies and TV shows. And it doesn't have everyone that's been ever made, but it has got a huge selection available to it. And
Downloadable?
Yeah. It's just it's an APK, so it runs on an Android device.
Sure.
So,
are the films downloadable so you can watch them again?
You can download them to watch offline. So that if you say you're going somewhere and you want to download it, you can open it up, press download, and then turn it off, and then when you get where you're going, and you've no internet, you can just watch it local. To your
Yeah, it's
device.
very cool. Very cool.
Brilliant. Yeah, if you can send me the link to that, that'd be
I won't just send you the link. I'll send you the file. It's just a small APK file. So you just fire it up on your device that you want to install it on.
And off you go.
And off you go.
Yeah. Anybody watching Traitors at the moment?
No, don't know what that is.
Traitors is, I know this is like a swear word on these groups, BBC.
All right, yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty good actually. It's a
Is it new?
version.
Is it new?
It's been going a few years. There was an Australian version, an American celebrity version. Now we've got a UK celebrity version. It's very psychological. It's a psychological reality game show thing.
Oh, right, okay.
The production values are, it's quite well made. It's quite interesting.
I've just watched Slow Horses, the final season, the current season ending, and I've just found out that the next season isn't starting until next September.
Oh no!
So I've got nearly a year to wait, and I'm like, nah.
Well, we do seem to be increasingly trying to race into the future. I mean, 2 weeks. I do a show on here every 2 weeks. 2 weeks goes in like 4 days now.
Yeah.
I mean, then I can do 2 weeks again. And it's like, because this sort of instant gratification that people are seeking is getting so quick now, isn't it? That if they have to wait 5 seconds or something, it's like, I don't want it anymore. Too slow. And it's like
June films, right? These new adaptations of the June films.
Really?
The gap between the first one and then the second one and then the third one. I think they're bringing the third one out next year. And there's been like a 2-year gap between the second and third. But yeah, if you've not seen the latest adaptation of June, absolutely, it will blow your socks off. It's how it should have been made the first time round, not the cheesy one that we got.
I could never watch those films. I found them incredibly boring.
Yeah,
So-
it was the same with the Twin Towers films. What's it called? Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, Lord of the Rings.
It's so long. But yeah, no, if you're into your sci-fi, absolutely watch the latest adaptations of June. Brilliant.
Okay.
Absolutely phenomenal. And it's on that, I don't know if it's the same people that did it, but it's in the same theme or sort of like feel of Blade Runner 2049, I think is it 2049? But anyway, the second Blade Runner film that they made a few years back.
I haven't watched that because it's not going to be the same.
No, it's not. And they knew that. And it's totally different. It's a completely separate kind of feel to it, which is good in a way because they weren't trying to recreate the first one, which is what they always try and do, don't they? Oh, we had this great success with this first film, and we'll recreate it in the second one and totally botch it.
Yeah.
The best film that's knocked Idiocracy off my top slot, which is another excellent film, and we're living in it now, but is The Phoenician Scheme, and it's this year, it's 2025, The Phoenician Scheme. Fabulous film. Very well
It is.
made.
I've watched it. On your recommendation, I gave it a watch. That's on that app as well. I'll send you the app in a second, Robert, and then you can have a play.
But there you go. You've got a double plus there. Me and Andy say it's a good film. But yeah, really, really well made, artistic, funny.
Yeah,
and the level of information in there is just off the scale.
Really very dry as well. The dry humour of it was what I liked about it. It was so some of it deadpan, some of it sarcastic, some of it. There's a bit of everything in there.
Cool.
That's right. But it's the information in there. You know, they put information in these films.
Oh yeah.
And I would say try and work out what the gap is. It took me. I had to watch it 3 times to work out what the gap is. But yeah, it's really well made. It's got, for instance, how to travel without a passport.
Cool.
Right, I'm going to go walk the dog.
Yes.
And get back ready.
Excellent.
So thank you very much, Angie, for tonight's show.
That's all right. Thank you all for joining this evening.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, everyone. Big love.
Thank you.
Big love.